Hey Wanderers, thanks for joining us on a new arc in Wanderlust. As always, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're enjoying our podcast, please consider leaving us a review wherever you listen to us. Now we return to Smokey Banks, where our heroes have just returned from Bug City and enacted their plan to stop the Great Strider from destroying the town. Last time on Wanderlust.
We found the storm. We found the thing that is bringing the storm. We have an idea for how to stop the storm because it is most likely coming back here in a week or two. And so we kind of had to rush back here, and I'm happy to fill you in on more details tomorrow.
We need to set up an amplification system so we can stop a really giant bug from bringing that storm back around to Smokey Banks.
So we have to get power and equipment hauled up to the top of a very tall tower, and then we set it up, and you want me to play music up there? Like a little concert on the top of a creepy tower?
I mean, that does sound nice, but I think we're going more for bug noises to frighten away giant bug.
This week of preparation is sort of a weird, sleepless nightmare as all of you are kind of working round the clock. It's a busy week.
You're bringing things back with you from here.
Is this, and she's like referring to her cut on her palm or hand, is this bringing something back that I shouldn't be?
I believe it is inevitable and natural.
Can you tell me what's happening to me?
It's not that you're bringing a curse back to town with you, but you do have its blessing.
So you guys get all the way to the top and you pull yourselves up onto this like pretty small platform that's made. From this height, way off in the distance, you can see the Great Strider like slowly thumping towards you as the ground's starting to shake, and you see these long, slow steps from these incredibly long, spindly legs slowly walking their way across the forest towards you. You feel the ground underneath of you shift suddenly, very much in time with one of those footfalls. She starts playing, and that's when you feel that like lurch in the tower. You look over at the tower and you can see it like jarring a little bit, and then you see it starting to kind of buckle. So the tower's swaying, you can feel it starting to like buck and buckle. It's not feeling good. You can hear like pops and crunches.
He's going to try to find some like tree branches, like thick tree branches or even like smaller tree trunks to try to use to wedge the tower as far up as he can, like wedged into the ground.
I'm pulling her up.
Estelle jumps for the keyboard. Autumn, I think you've got Willow, and Estelle just starts playing the notes.
And you and Willow play this just horrible, chaotic song, but in rhythm with each other, as you finally see the Great Strider take one step back.
It's dawn in Smokey Banks. The eco-herb at this point still looks the same, but is now noticeably different. When you're standing in the gardens and you look out to the north, you can see that spire that, has to play the song to keep the Great Strider away every once in a while. And you can also see around that spire the small starts of a nymphic colony. So the Great Nymphic Order was that bug group that lived on the back of the Great Strider, and you now have a small hive of them living in Smokey Banks. Aside from that, just the structures in Smokey Banks have changed. There was a lot of destruction caused by the Great Strider, and a lot of effort was going into rebuilding that very quickly, and as it happens, having a huge population of bugs whose one job it is to build structures really quickly became very helpful. So the construction site where that old town was being replaced by that new building, that structure is now almost complete, as the builder beetles have allowed the bulk of the structure to be built far more rapidly, so now it's just a lot of glass work to kind of close that in and make that someplace that has a lot of access to sunlight. The town in general has been rebuilt very quickly, but is just now everywhere you look, you can see subtle hints of this kind of honeycombing bug structure being built into a lot of your buildings. As is typical, a morning announcement plays.
A lovely morning to all of you beautiful people out there in Smokey Banks. Just a few announcements before we start our day making our eco-world beautiful. Sheriff Mitchell would like to remind everyone that our new insect guests are friendly, but that you should avoid being purple near them. Also, if you have any questions, please speak to the nymphic liaison, Tetty. He truly is delightful to talk to, and is quite the musical critic. On that note, Tetty and I have reviewed all of our music to ensure that we do not have another instance of unintentional audio suggestion to our Builder Beetle friends. I would like to apologize personally for the damage that was caused. Next up, a few anonymous members of our community would like to remind everyone that Smokey Banks is unique, and we must embrace that, but still, this town can be treacherous, so please don't stray too far afield. Lastly, our proclaimed Disaster Marshal Matthew and his Vice Marshal Guffey are looking for emergency response volunteers. He is holding weekly meetings at the Nenais Games Arena where you can sign up and begin training on survival, search and rescue, first aid, personal defense, and structural demolitions. Matthew would like to impress that this is a critical job but also a dangerous one, so... and this is a quote, only the most courageous and selfless people should show up. All others may spectate. Now, lovely people, please enjoy the sultry melodies of Rush of Blossoms by the Eversons.
As this announcement plays out over Smokey Banks, we leave. We go far off into the wilds, way down into a fissure where we find Fred. Fred, you are in that kind of like ore smeltery mine automated facility that you guys found in the first arc. It's the one where there were the robots and you found that ore that you were able to make into a very specific kind of hammer. You're still in that ore refinery right now. I think what you had told me was that you were wanting to just kind of like set up the ability to try to like get more of that stuff back just because it is a pretty valuable metal and a lot of the people working in construction really liked it. So you're just trying to like kind of grab some of those resources as you can. How do you imagine doing this? Are you just like one at a timing it? Or are you trying to figure out like a creative way to get that stuff back? How do you imagine this looks?
So what I imagined was, because that facility was in like a crevice, right?
Yes.
Like the entrance to it was down a crevice.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine he built some kind of like ladder, like maybe even just a rope ladder that he took with him and secured to the edge of the crevice to have an easy access up and down. Like that'd maybe be the first iteration of it. Like maybe sometime later, how far away is this from town?
I think it's a few miles. It's
few miles. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like a day's journey, let's say.
Okay. Because I was thinking like if it was possible to build any kind of like actual staircase or something down, but that seems like it might be, or like a tunnel from town, but that might be a bit too far.
Well, tunnel from town, definitely not, but you could build a more permanent, you could have like more permanent structures built around like that fissure, just trying to get stuff up.
Right.
just a refresher on what that fissure looks like. It is all these like big clanging machines that were basically operating in total darkness, where those ingots were just being spit out on the floor, basically, right? It clearly was meant to hook up to something else and just no longer is, but is still running of its own accord. And then there were these like floating drones that were bringing things back and forth around this area. I think you guys had tried to hack one of them at one point.
Didn't somebody ride on top of one for a bit?
Yeah, I mean, someone. Can we guess who?
Juliet really needs to control herself.
I'm guessing Autumn. So, well, yeah, I'm imagining like the first few trips would just get some more of that metal, just to have more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I imagine as this goes on more and more, Fred would be interested in trying, because if I remember right, there was a computer there, right?
There was,
that
yes.
I think Juliet tried to do something with, and we couldn't figure it out. Fred wants to see if he can make any sense of it, to see if it can make other metals or other materials.
Oh, interesting. Okay, make me a roll.
What kind of roll is this?
Depends on what skills you have. Whatever can be applied to making a computer work better.
Okay. Well, because that was the question. If it's like, if you give me the choice, I'll choose crafting every time, but I don't think that necessarily applies here.
I think that probably could. I mean, you're trying to program in other metals. Yeah, I'll let you make an argument for it in this case.
Sure, I'll take it. Oh boy, that is an 8.
So an 8's very good, right, in terms of our standards. So do you want to pull information off this computer or just get different metals? And if so, what kind of metals are you wanting?
So I have to choose one or the other?
No, you can ask both, but you have to ask some pretty specific questions if you want to ask questions.
Okay. So the type of things Fred would be looking for, like the type of materials he'd want to make, would be stuff that is very sturdy but very light.
Okay.
So kind of like how aluminum is used frequently as a substitute for steel because it's significantly lighter and still pretty strong.
Yeah.
He'd be looking for that type of material, something that has like the strength of steel or maybe even stronger, but significantly lighter, so he could make more complex structures with it.
Okay.
Maybe even for building like actual buildings.
Sure.
I'm trying to think what else. So he already has the metal that stays hot and sparks. Gosh, I did. So when I sent you that about wanting to be able to go to this facility, I didn't think we were going to start the episode with it. I thought this was going to be a longer term process.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry too much about that. If you don't have that much more to do down here, there's other stuff that's going to happen while you're here.
Okay. I think. Can I give you more answers later?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I can't think of anything at the moment.
I will say, let me put it this way. You can ask me questions about this facility and I can answer them if you want specific questions. If there's nothing you're wondering about right now, that's fine. When you put in that, like that new formulation or like an attempt at new formulation, like you're putting in parameters into the computer and you see it, like normally it was like a pretty like routine process that it's running, and then all of a sudden the computer just starts like chewing on these parameters that you put in as it's basically trying to figure out a concoction of chemicals that would create something approximating titanium, which is really specific and not easy to come by. So it's trying to figure that out, right? It's like mixing and testing and mixing and testing and mixing and testing as it's like iterating through this stuff. As that's happening, you hear some clattering from behind you. Just like footsteps shuffling, maybe like the sound of your rope swing kind of creaking around as you hear someone like struggling and breathing and making their way down it.
I assume at some point we got the lights fixed, right? Because I think the lights were out last time we were here.
Yeah, but it's not much. It's like it's pretty dim.
Okay,
it's a dingy space, you know. Even with, because, you know, maybe you got the bulbs that still working, but a lot of them are just burnt out and they're not the same. It's got like 4 plugs and it doesn't even exactly run on electricity. You know, it's something weird.
Okay. I think Fred will set up like by the door. When he hears this, he'll kind of like go beside the door and do the thing, like ready to attack someone if they're hostile or whatever.
So you lean up against the door creaks open, and a figure walks in. It's an older man. He's got a beard. He's kind of shuffling, or he looks sort of nervous as he's walking in and just kind of goes, hello, is anybody down here?
Hello? What? Who are you?
He turns around and you recognize Hugo, also from Arc 1.
Oh, right, okay.
What's the right way to describe him?
Hermit.
Yeah, the hermit that had been lost on a covered wagon train some time ago. When you talk, he about jumps out of his skin, he shoots an arrow into the floor, and then just goes, oh, well, hello, how are you? Sorry, I usually people say when they're down someplace. My bad.
Hey, Hugo, I'm sorry for startling you. I just wasn't expecting any company down here, so you can never be too careful out in the wilds.
I wasn't either. Why are you here?
So we had found this place before on a previous excursion, and I found some pretty neat materials I could use to make tools, and I figured I'd get some more of that interesting metal. I mean, you remember the metal? I showed you it last time.
I do.
The one that like stayed hot for a while. Well, it turns out it's pretty neat. I made some pretty cool stuff out of it, and I figured I'd get some more of that stuff, and also figure out what else this place could make.
Is there any food down here?
Is there any food down here?
No, it's just metal.
Not that I know of. Do you need some food?
When you live in a cave surrounded by birds, it's always a thought. No, but you come out here just routinely by yourself just to get pieces of metal?
Yeah, it's not too far from town.
It's like dangerous though, right?
I mean, the path from town to here is pretty quiet. There's not really much going on out there. I mean, yeah, it's the wilds. Anything could happen, but I haven't run into anything too terrible yet.
Do you remember when there were the giant bugs that are still kind of around and the ground shakes and there's storms now? You just come out here for funsies?
Well, the bugs are friends now. That's all sorted.
They're your friends?
Yeah, you should come meet them.
No, I think that's okay. No, I think I still like being out here. I'm just confused why you would like being out here, or why you would choose being out here.
I mean, if find places like this that's got interesting stuff to deal with. Again, look at this facility. We can't do anything like that back at Smokey Banks.
He looks around and goes, I've seen so many things that are so beyond what I have ever considered I could do. At this point, it's kind of become routine. No, I don't know. I guess it was just weird for me seeing you guys. I thought about it more after you left. Like, I screwed up, right, in my life. I don't know if that was clear. It did not go well for me. And that's why I choose to live alone out in the wilds. But it's like not a place I think a lot of people whose lives have like gone well would choose to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I understand you.
At least not for me.
I mean, heck, I'm kind of only out here at Smokey Banks because my life back where I came from kind of took a left turn and needed somewhere to escape to.
Hey, that's
an entirely different story.
I've got time. Just saying, if you ever think that maybe you've met someone who is very willfully choosing to escape, that would be me. I started out on a wagon caravan. Not anymore. So, I just kind of thought it'd be better to not deal with that and instead stay out in the forest and eat mushrooms and deal with the birds.
Well, I mean, the invitation's still open if you ever want to see Smokey Banks and come visit it. We're not that far from it. I'm actually surprised because we're quite a ways from your cave, aren't we?
You're about equidistance between cave and Smokey Banks.
Oh, really? I thought his cave was a lot farther away.
You guys did not go that far in the first arc, and you went much further after you got motorcycles.
You know, it'd help if I actually had Roll20 open so I could actually see this.
He goes, yeah, I do appreciate the offer, and I'm glad you found a group of people that you can be with, because it is better to have that than to not. I say, speaking from experience, but it's not that I don't think you guys would welcome me. I don't think I could be welcome there myself. It's not something I think I can change about me.
Well, I mean, the town welcomed the bugs, the big bugs that were accidentally bringing the storm. Like, it wasn't their fault. It was an accident. But they helped us protect the town, and I don't think there's much that the town wouldn't welcome at this point. As long as it's not hostile.
Well, yeah, I'm not generally, and embracing change is, like I said, it's me, I think, not being able to change, not that the town would be unwilling to accommodate me. Did they accommodate you, or was it not that bad what happened to you?
Well, there's not many people that know about what happened to me. I haven't told too many people any details.
He puts his hand on your shoulder and goes, "You're in your own forest."
Sure, if you want to look at it that way.
I do. It might be because I spend a lot of time alone in a forest, thinking about being alone in a forest. My point, though, is it's probably good not to, because that's what I did, and now I live in a cave surrounded by birds. Hang on, real quick question. This is sort of a weird one. Don't read too much into this. Is that normal, right? The birds to you? You guys didn't seem that shocked by the birds.
So I guess here's a question. Like, how well known are the wilds? Like the details of the wilds.
In your world, giant killer birds are like a given.
Okay.
They're the apex predator. It's like it's basically like your lions are giant predatory birds.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of normal. Like, that's just kind of how the wilds are. Like, you never know what you're going to get out here. Like, I remember we ran into some giant toads at one point. We ran into what we call blighthounds, or like giant fiery dog looking things. Like, yeah, there's all kinds of wild stuff out here.
Remember those? I remember those. Well, Hugo stands up and dusts himself off and goes, "It's always nice to talk to you, Fred. I think I'm going to steal some of your metal, if you don't mind. Just a little bit. I don't think I'm going to need as much as you do."
Oh, I mean, for sure, it's not really my metal. I'm just using. I didn't make this place. I'm just using what's already here.
Another cool thing about the wilds, you do find lost things. And as he stands up and starts to walk away, he turns around and goes, "I'm glad that you were willing to find a place in Smokey Banks, but just think about how you might have to change to stay there. I don't know what happened to you where you came from, but if it's anything like what happened to me, I don't think it's good to think that everyone will assume the worst about you, but I think that. So, that's maybe something to handle better than me." And you see him walk out the door and climb up the little rope bridge, or the little rope thing that you had set up. Is there anything else that you want to do, or are you just like bringing back another load of metal?
So how is the computer faring on the calculations for the new metal?
If you were to have a loading bar, it says 1%.
Okay.
And then it's like, when you're transferring files in Windows, and it's like, this is going to take 5 hours to complete. And you're like,
5 hours, 2 seconds, 10 years.
I was going to say, yeah. And then it goes, this is going to take 5 minutes. And you're like, oh, okay, not bad. And then it's like, this is going to take 2 weeks and 5 hours. And then it's like 2 weeks, 4 hours and 59 minutes. And you're like, oh, shoot, that's real. It's going to be a bit. It's going to be a while.
Okay. Yeah, Fred will harvest as much of the original metal as he can carry.
Cool.
Are we just assuming at this point I have effectively infinite supply?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, yeah, like at this point, well, yeah, basically
not infinite. I can't like make a building out of it, but if I want to put it into a tool, I have some.
Yeah. For the things that you build, you can just use this metal now.
Okay.
I think that's fine. So yeah, you make your way back to town, carrying your...
I did have one more question about the facility.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
What was this facility... Like, was it designed to do anything other than just make materials? Like, was there an additional purpose beyond that?
This specific part of the facility? No, but it does absolutely look like it looks like a chunk of a factory that got cut out and placed here. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like, there's an end to the production line where it's just dumping on the floor, and it's like, that's where a conveyor belt would go,
Okay.
And it just isn't there. It's just spitting out on the ground. We're going to cut over to Juliet's apartment. It's early in the morning. It's a pretty small apartment in the lofts. And, alarms are going off. And I'll say, Juliet, basically, like, you're getting up to start your day. You're, like, rushing out the door. You need to get to the gardens. And then you're planning to go and see Doc Marlin. But, Estelle, you are just standing in a kind of sort of dimly lit bathroom at this point. It's got like one fluorescent bulb sort of flickering above you as you're staring into a mirror.
Yeah, so I think Estelle is doing that thing that people who have contacts do, where she's really up close on the mirror. She's like lifting her lids like apart, and she's trying to look at her eyes because they were glowing. Are they still glowing?
So you said that something you wanted to do was try to make this happen again, right?
There are multiple things happening.
Okay.
This is one of them.
No, they're not. But you could try to make them glow again if you want. I have a thing for glowing eyes, in case people didn't know.
I don't think she would obviously she wouldn't know how to turn that on. So I think it's a lot of blinking and rolling her eyeball around as much as she can to look at all angles. And at some point she does look at the... You know what? I'm just going to decide where it is. It's on her pointer finger. Because I've said it's somewhere on her hand.
Like the patch of skin.
The rough patch of skin is on her pointer finger. And I think at one point she's looking at it after looking at her eyes, and she's in her mind's eye, she's seeing the leaf coming out of there and the flower coming out of there. And she's this is so stupid. But she closes her hand into a fist and opens it again. That's gonna do anything.
Roll gardening. It's the only thing I could think of on your character sheet.
Is that
it's +2?
Does she have a skill in that?
Yeah, she has +2.
Oh, okay.
Estelle takes her garden time seriously.
You said I have a +2 in that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a +3.
Trying to decide how to read that roll. So you're sitting there trying to do something. You're punching at your hand, and as you do that, it becomes a rhythmic thing. It's just thump, thump, thump as you're opening and closing your hand. And you kind of start to space out as you're doing that over and over and over again. And you start to remember how it felt, how it smelled, how it looks in the wild. You're getting these little flashes of deep forest, dark, where, the canopy is obscuring the sunlight. You can smell that rich smell of earth and decaying leaves. You can hear the soft sounds of water and animals moving in the trees as you do that. And you're still kind of in your head thinking this is stupid. This isn't working. This isn't doing anything. And then you do that one more time and you feel your hand change. That little patch on your finger that felt rough, almost woody, it grows. And you feel your fingers stiffen a little bit. That smell of earth and decay and life intensifies that very green, rich smell. And you look up into the mirror and your eyes are glowing bright green and you blink and it stops. You look down at your hand and that skin irritation has spread. And your finger is if you open and close your hand, it goes... And then that finger closes, right? It's 4 fingers closed, and the other one's and doesn't quite make it.
I'm gonna amend one thing and say that when she looks up and sees her eyes are glowing, she like jolts back and hits her head against like something that's behind her, like the wall or something.
The wall of the door, yeah.
Yeah.
Estelle, are you all right?
Guitars that hurt. Yep, I just slipped. I'm fine.
All right. Are you done in the bathroom?
Yeah, just let me wash my hand real quick.
So you stick your hand under the tap and you start washing it, like the weird discoloration and irritation on your skin is not going away at all.
Out, damn spot.
This is when you start doing that thing that you do where you're like, well, something's wrong with me. I wonder if the medicine cabinet magically has a solution for this. And you find out, no, it doesn't. Do you want to kind of continue on to the next thing that you had messaged me about?
I can just like mention this. So I think at some point in the next 12 hours when she has a minute between gardening and her normal work, Estelle ends up going to see Dr. Noxilius, and
I want to do that. It's going to be short, but I want to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
You kind of rush out of the apartment. You want to go and see Dr. Noxilius, who's the pharmacist in Smokey Banks, kind of thinking to yourself, like, there's a cream for this. Yes, it's cream. It's just got to get a cream on this. It'll be fine. Juliet, you kind of see a very hurried Estelle bump past you as she makes her way out.
She's definitely started doing that thing, like when you have like a scab or something where you're just running your finger over it constantly because it's there and it's bothering you.
Yep. It's going to be so sanded smooth. No exfoliation needed.
As you rush out, it's sort of jarring. You can see everyone around town just acting very normal. At this point now, there are builder beetles scurrying around the gardens, constructing and fixing buildings. Builder beetle structures require constant maintenance, so they live in and perfect those structures as they continue polishing and fixing and repairing them. So you can see those little troops of builder beetles being fed. There's troughs for them out now so that they can eat.
Ooh,
and
are some of them trying to help the solarium be built?
The solarium, that's what it was. Yes, the solarium is almost done because of the help of the builder beetles.
That's cool.
It is largely builder beetle structure. That's what I was saying at the very beginning, and I forgot the name. So you rush through town, and it's really odd because that's, like you say, you're rubbing your finger over this. It's in your mind, but everyone else just looks so normal. And you get to this little pharmacy. It's, I would say, probably in a part of Old Town that wasn't destroyed, kind of actually near your vet's office, in a older retrofitted building. When you open the door, you see a man look up. He has giant, thick Coke bottle glasses. Everything is dusty. He is dusty. It's just an aged, kind of wizened little man sitting with a bunch of scales and bottles of pills all over the place. And he goes, "What do you need?"
Hey, I was just wondering if maybe you had some kind of some cream for eczema. I think I just got some really dry skin being out in the wilds and...
Well, it could be some kind of irritant from a plant or dry skin, or yes, could be eczema. Let me see. Is it on your hand that you're clutching like it's about to fall off?
I don't. Yeah, yes.
So do you show him your hand?
Yeah.
He looks at it and he goes, that's none of the things that I said.
But I thought it might be worth trying something to see if it might help.
He looks at you.
Do you have something to help with joint pain?
And he winks and goes, I try a lot of things. And he just starts shuffling around, getting tubes of stuff. And he's like, steroid cream? This will dry things out. This is a moisturizer.
I don't think I need to dry it out anymore.
This is a tincture made from some things I've found near the ruins. And then he, like, drops one other thing on your hand and goes, that stuff is what I use to strip varnish off of boats.
Great. I'll take all of them and just see
I
what
would
works.
suggest put them all in a small container, mix together, apply every 5 minutes until it looks like you've dipped your finger in glue.
Okay, will the stuff that dries it out, like, will that mix badly with the stuff that moisturizes?
The thing is, pharmaceuticals is more of an art than it is a science.
Got it. Okay.
Not who I want as my pharmacist.
Honestly, not who I want as my anything.
I'll give it a try. Thank you.
I'm offended that Estelle went to this guy versus the pharmaceutical biochemist.
I think she's desperate. Also, this is who we named as our pharmacist.
Yeah, I mean, you guys made him a recurring NPC, so, you know, this is who you get.
Yeah, he time travels from space and
I want there to be certain NPCs that are staples in all of our games. I think the mad scientist who gives us pharmaceuticals is the right call.
he is the Hoyt of our Cosmere.
Oh no, I'm not going to disagree with you. It's fun.
So, Estelle, as you start making your way back towards the gardens, you know, you have your day of work to do, and then you also are you're probably going to be at the the vet's office after that. So you start making your way to the gardens to do your morning of work. Your finger's still just like nagging at your mind that it is stiff and feels weird.
I think at some point she took the time to like bandage it.
Oh, yeah.
So it looks like, oh, I just have a cut on my finger. That's why it's weird.
As you're walking, you're kind of in your own head, and then you just hear this booming bark. A giant furry something jumps up on your shoulders, and you hear Matthew.
Guffy! Oh, how's my good boy?
That is no way for did I call you the assistant disaster marshal to behave? Down, Guffy.
No, he's perfect.
First of all, ma'am, you're a citizen right now, and that's the assistant to the disaster marshal. He's on official business, and you look down and you see that Guffy has like a safety vest on that says disaster relief on it.
So cute. Adorable.
He goes, I made that for him. He's an official now of the town. He's been sworn in by me.
Estelle pulls out a treat that she...
Hey, no eating on the job. No eating on the job.
From a pouch that she like always has on her for when she sees pets running around.
It's difficult to maintain a sense of authority, Mum, when you're always feeding us. And also, I note that you did not give me any kind of snack.
She pulls out an oatmeal cookie for him.
All right, all is forgiven. He takes a bite and goes, anyways, I'm actually here on cookies aside official business. You're being summoned by the Wild Watchers to discuss our strategies in the wild and maybe some kind of way of consulting the town before the four of you make unilateral decisions for town safety and infrastructure.
Are we even bothering trying to keep it a secret anymore? Or
well, I mean, technically, yes, but also, like, you know, is it that big of a deal? I don't think so. I get to wear a cool pin, and also, if you're in a secret society and no one knows it, you don't really get a lot of attention for it, so...
Right, it's not really a secret that we're going out there anymore, is it?
No, you're missing the point. The cool part of being in a secret society is telling people that you're in a secret society. If you never tell anyone, there's no point, you know? But I seem mysterious because I'm in the Wild Watchers, and I think I bring a youthful gravitas to it.
Hang on. How did they just let you in when they gave me and the rest of my party that goes out into the wild a load of crap for wanting to join?
I'm trustworthy. I've proven myself to the town. I'm the disaster marshal, ma'am. You can't laugh in my face. It's inappropriate.
Estelle pats him on the cheek and gives him a kiss on the other cheek. All right, when are we supposed to meet up?
Lighthouse
is it just me or is it the whole group?
It's the whole group. It's the whole. I'm specifically the one who's entrusted to give these messages to you
See, messenger boy now.
All right, you could be proud of me. That's an option. But
I'm always proud of you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate it. But anyways, and then he gets out a little card. It has the emblem of the Wild Watchers on it, and it says it's like the meeting invite, but in code. It has a cipher on it and stuff. And you see that he's already translated it. It's like meet at the eye in the sky when the sun kisses the ocean. And he's just lighthouse at dusk. I gotta say, I'm really proud of myself. I came up with meet at the eye in the sky when the sun kisses the ocean. I came up with that on the fly, and I'm actually really proud of it. Anyways, doesn't matter.
It sounds less impressive when you tell us that immediately.
All right. So did you come up with the code, or was that...
No, not even a little bit. No, but I translated it for you in case you couldn't figure out what it means, because it was really clever.
Thank you.
So wait, was it also in a cipher, or was it just verbal code?
It was the riddle. Riddle, and then he wrote what that meant underneath of it.
I didn't know, because you said cipher, and that is changing letters and stuff.
I did. I can't pull a cipher out of my hat on the fly, but I could pull a riddle out, so,
I just liked the idea that they wrote it in a code and then put it through a cipher. So they're
that is pretty great, yeah.
They're very careful.
Okay, well, I will see you at the lighthouse then.
All right, we are going to kick over to Juliet. You've had your normal day working at the gardens. Estelle seemed a little off, but whatever. And you make your way over to the college. You kind of have a long overdue meeting with Doc Marlin.
So Juliet goes and kind of carefully knocks on his door. Hello?
You just hear, yes, come in.
She comes in the door. She's got her notebook with her.
As soon as you push the door open, it hits something and a giant jar just falls on the ground and smashes, and a builder beetle just runs out of the room. And he just goes, don't tell Teti about that. That's between me and you, not Teti.
Got it. So, been doing a lot of research, it looks like?
Juliet, I've got to say, when I asked you to bring things back from the wild, I did not expect what you did. But, you did really good. I'm a huge fan. I'm a little disappointed that the Great Strider's so far away, but close second having Teti and the Builder Beetles right near us. I don't think he likes me.
Why is that? I've found him to be fascinating to talk to.
How many of his builder beetles have you taken?
0. How many have you taken?
That he knows of? 15. But...
What's above?
That's not that many. I think there's hundreds. I don't think any of us know how many there are.
That's true.
They eat a lot, and... Anyways, what can I do for you?
Oh, I was just coming by to check in and show you some of the sketches from the things that we found when we were on the Great Strider and see how your research is going. The ruins have been good lately.
As you lay out all of your sketches and notes that you had on that, and he starts flipping through those and goes, I've had Maul looking into quite a lot of things for quite a long time, and this really is the first time we've ever seen anything to this scale. So I gotta say, hats off on that one. I mean, really, really incredible work that you did there.
Are you still working with her?
She still likes money, and I still like people that get me things. So, definitely.
Okay.
She also does not like me very much.
Oh, she made it sound like maybe you weren't hiring her anymore.
She's not my preference. You're kind of competition. My point, and I don't want to say it like that because I don't want to acknowledge different...
I don't think there needs to be competition in science.
Okay. You can think that. Actually, I encourage it. There is no competition in science. We're all on the same team.
Right. I don't see what's so funny here. Why wouldn't you want more knowledge? If you can have twice as many people doing research, why wouldn't you do that?
I do want more knowledge. It's neither here nor there. My point is, these notes are incredible, but also weird. I've never seen a whole civilization before. I assumed we were dealing with rapid mutations, which we certainly are in some cases, but this is years of history that you have sketched out here, and art, and an entire culture that does not exist on our world.
Yeah, I've been puzzling over that quite a lot. So you do a lot of anthropological research with the ruins, right?
I do.
Is there any comparison there? Like what sort of cultural knowledge do we have about the ruins? I guess that's the only point of comparison that I have is in terms of another civilization that we might have discovered.
So here's what's exciting for me and why you are getting a better title, let's say. Saying is your tenure track now. If you want, you don't have to leave. But the ruins are of a dead society, not ours, someone else's. So that makes it challenging. They're not... I can't ask them questions, and there isn't, written knowledge still there. All I can do is infer from what I have scraped off of walls and dug out of rocks, which is quite a lot, but not a ton. Certainly they weren't bugs, and they did not have builder beetles. It was something else. But it's still on our doorstep.
Right. I guess I was just more interested in the type of hallmarks of civilization that they might have. If they had star charts, if they had calendars, that sort of thing.
Calendars, yes. Star charts, kind of. See, there is a problem with that. If you look at, let's say, cave paintings of the stars, well, you can find in our history cave paintings of the stars that are not remotely accurate. They saw stars, they did not make specific stars in the cave painting of the night sky. Do you know what I mean?
It was more artistic rather than scientific?
Sure, if I were to draw a picture of the night sky, I probably would not bother to make it right and accurate because that's wildly inconvenient as the stars move. So, I've found a great number of indications of stars that I had assumed were like that. I'm not so sure now.
Oh?
Maybe they were looking at different stars, because your builder beetles certainly were. I don't know how they got here. We can only hypothesize. But they certainly didn't exist here forever. We have never had great striders, and I don't think we've ever had whatever society made those ruins.
So, what's your hypothesis on that, then?
He, just stares off into the sky and goes, have you ever heard the hollow earth theory?
I'm not sure. Can you refresh my memory?
Basically, imagine our planet's hollow. It's not, but imagine it is. It's hollow, so then you go inside of it and you find another planet? That's all I got!
That's your theory.
No, it's just the least dumb one I've thought of yet. If you want to definitely make tenure and you come up with a hypothesis that works, that would be great. Right.
Well, I'll add it to my list of things to research, I suppose.
Definitely, that would be good, because I would get my name in so many journals if we did that. Like you said, more knowledge is always better, right?
That is true. I'm certain a lot of researchers would be interested in finding that out and learning more about that.
I agree.
Well, if I find anything else, I'll be sure to let you know.
He just nods his head and then goes, I gotta go find a beetle, and then runs out of the room. I like the idea of you, like, walk past, you see him down a hallway, like, holding a builder beetle that's, like, snapping and clawing at him as he's like, just trying to stuff it back into a giant jar. I'll say, Juliet, as you get back to your office, you see a dagger stabbed into the door, and hanging from it, there's a piece of paper that has the emblem of the Wild Watchers with a note that says, meet at the eye in the sky when the sun kisses the coast, or when the sun kisses the ocean.
Who left it as the knife?
I take the note and put it in my notebook.
Do you leave the knife in the wall, though?
No, I pocket the knife. Juliet is always prepared. She needs to have a knife.
Look, some people have a flair for the dramatic. The Wild Watchers are one of them. So the workday is kind of winding down, and we're going to cut over to Autumn, Autumn, what do you do after the gardens? I'm kind of curious now. Sorry, this is irrelevant, but relevant.
I mean, she's spending time training the people, the Disaster Relief Squad, or whatever you named it. The DRS.
Do you think that's what you would be doing, like, on this given day?
It depends. Am I having a scene with Matthew right now, or no?
No, with Willow.
No? I think she alternates between that and probably, like, helping with the builder beetles, like...
Oh, right, you said you were working on the solarium, right?
Yeah, and I think that has shifted where she's not just lifting heavy things anymore, but she is kind of a contact because she knows how to...
Well, you would know about building structures from being a firefighter. That makes sense.
Well, and, like, she's worked a lot with Teti.
Oh, yeah.
Like, getting back, so she's... less lifting heavy things and more just kind of a representation and like...
I will say you are also technically Teti's boss, so he would probably be very happy to have you there.
I think there's that, and I think to begin with, like, everyone was like, so we're having these weird bugs help out, and she's like, no, it's fine. And then she, like, fell into, like, the administrative role because, like, she had to deal with Teti and the bugs and no one else wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And now people are chill with them, but it, like, everyone's like, well, Autumn makes all the decisions now when dealing with the bugs.
So... you're, like, standing in the solarium with Teti. He's looking out and, like, you can hear him just kind of, like, singing and chirping as builder beetles are, like, finishing and polishing certain structures and, like, finalizing room layouts and stuff as he's just, like, sitting there with his face flashing colors and trilling out this little song. He looks over at you and goes, Autumn, it is great that you have me here. I very much appreciate it. This is quite a good challenge for me, and I think it is making me more welcome in your town.
I think so too. Quick question that we should have addressed earlier. Does this need, like, regular upkeep? Because I always see the builder beetles crawling in it, and, like, if you were to leave, will this just, like, fall down, like, in a month, week, year?
Why would you want me to leave?
Oh, I don't, but I just didn't know if the Great Strider will ever call you home. I like you being here. You're great, Teddy. But...
technically, you would have to tell me to leave, and I don't want to leave, and I don't think you want me to leave, so just never tell me to leave. But also, no. The builder beetles will maintain, repair, and perfect the structure, but if they were to leave, the structure would not crumble. It would just slowly erode, as all things do.
All right. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you to leave because I like you being around, and...
I like learning things here, and your food is quite good, and you are willing to feed all of my builder beetles and give me things to build.
Yeah, have we solved the problem with your builder beetles going missing yet?
No. I think we have not.
We'll have to get the sheriff to talk to Doc Marlin again, I think.
I could talk to him. I'm quite convincing.
Yeah, like, I think... I don't think that will stop him, and I think it will probably just make him steal more, if we're being honest.
Right, but I could convince him to give me something of equal value in return, and then all would be fine.
That is an idea, actually. Like, yeah, we could do that.
I will negotiate with him, and as he says that, like, his front pincers just, like, click.
No purple.
I did not turn purple. I did not act hostile to him. He is probably not worth eating.
Yeah, I mean, don't kill him, please. Like, that would make people like you less.
As you say that, his head shifts around and he goes, Willow just walked into the building. She is 50 yards that way, approaching. I believe she's carrying a blanket.
All right. Are you good here? I'm probably going to go hang out with Willow then? Or
I can talk to you through the Builder Beetles and see you through the Builder Beetles, so I will know where you are if I need to find you.
Cool, like, not all the... we've talked about this, Teddy, like...
All the time, yes, all the time. I always know where you are. You are my...
I've told you not my room, not Willow's house.
They are not in the house. They are under the house. I've told you the beetles don't live in houses. They live under houses and in walls.
Okay, okay. She walks away.
So as you walk away over towards where Teti gestured for you to go, you like look over and you do just kind of like conspicuously see a builder beetle just like standing on top of the earth, just like constantly facing you.
Are they the small ones or are they huge ones that follow me around?
So Teti's builder beetles are very intricate. Their shells are really ornate. They have more complicated and more dexterous hands and arms and legs, but they're only about the size of a corgi. You know, they're maybe 20 pounds.
Okay.
So low to the ground, chunky dog.
So that's what's living in the walls of Willow's house.
Under Willow's house. Under Willow's house. That's what would be like creeping up and peeking through the windows just to make sure that you're safe.
I'm sure Willow invested in some curtains immediately if she did not already have very good ones.
They're so sneaky, though. They're so sneaky. At this point now, your houses are made of their tunnels. Willow's carrying like a blanket and a picnic basket. And yeah, so as she sees you approaching, she stops and waves.
Hey, Willow, how's it going?
It is going good. Now look, I know you're busy, and I know you're out here saving the world, but you still owe me one regular date. Not something weird, not where I have to talk to Teti, not where I get introduced to Builder Beetles, not where I, hear about disaster relief, just one normal date, and I'm cashing it in today. So, I have food.
I feel like we've had normal dates. You can't choose to ignore all of my hobbies. Willow, I will go on multiple dates with you. You don't need to keep making...
Bugs are not hobbies.
Disaster relief is? Affinities?
No, it's not a hobby. It's a hobby would be like going dancing. That's like a job. That's something you're doing for the town.
So does it not count when you talk about radio then?
I resent that you would ask me that. I do resent that you would ask me that. And no, radio is my passion. It's my life. It's the love of my life. It's the thing I care the most about. So, no, it's different because it's the thing that I like.
I'm just saying, you don't need to make up excuses why every date we go on doesn't count. I will go on another date with you.
All right, fine. And I will say, I won't have that date be having a picnic in the radio room.
I appreciate that, because, that's where I spend most of my off time anyway.
Me too. All right, so, sky's the limit.
I have a hammock in there now.
We have a hammock in there. So, sky's the limit. Where do you want to go? I have a basket. I have a blanket.
Take me to the most beautiful spot in town that is not the ruins and preferably doesn't have a ton of bugs.
Well, the ton of bugs... I think they follow you. I actually think they're following you.
I think that one is my escort. I asked to be left alone. Teddy said no. I'm his boss and I told him to not follow me and he said no. I don't know what to do.
Willow looks over at the beetle that's just like standing there like a meerkat staring at you. And she like walks over and just goes, "Do they like chin scratchies?"
Absolutely not.
And she like just starts scratching its chin. And the builder beetle is just like laying there and then it just falls over on its belly. I don't know if I hurt it or if it liked getting chin scratchies.
Teddy said they don't understand it when we first met.
Whatever.
I don't know if they're like trying to emulate Guffy or not, but it's on its back so we can run.
Most beautiful place. So she grabs your hand, you both take off running. This is a fascinating question now.
Yeah, where does Willow think the most beautiful place in town is?
So Willow leads you, it's actually not too far. So the solarium is being built over the ruins of Old Town.
Can you remind me what the solarium is?
No, it's the new lofts that we're building to replace the stuff in Old Town that fell down.
Oh, it's just what they're calling the new apartments. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, so basically where she's leading you to is the very edge of town. It is north. Oh, okay. It's the little island between so north of the Warrens, there's a little island that is, like northeast of the docks. It's in the river, right? So as the river comes in.
That we came in on, yeah.
Yeah, it branches around this little island. I will say there's a little bridge that leads over. And what it is, it's kind of a less popular tourist trapped area. What it is an old building from like Smokey Banks before it became an eco-herb. It's one that's never been retrofitted, but what kind of building would it be? That's an interesting question. Oh, I think it was like an old power station, right? So it was like a hydroelectric power plant that was on the river that's now no longer used, but the building's still there and it has all of those like giant like insulators and towers and switchgear and all that stuff, and cabling is all still there. And it's sort of like treated like an artifact or a museum, sort of like the ruins, but it's well known what this is. So there's like little like picnicking areas and stuff like that around it, but it is also in the middle of the river, and right on the other side of that is basically you're getting into the wilds now, right? Like that is untamed non-Smokey Banks. So this is like the very edge of Smokey Banks, but also old school industry. So she like throws out the blanket and opens up the picnic basket. She has like very plain food, you know, she like made little rolls and has like some kind of spread to put on them. Probably, it'd be fun. It's like a seafood spread, you know?
Oh, that's fun.
Because you guys have like shellfish and crustaceans that live in the ocean, so it's like that mixed with like an oil and some lemon, you know, that you eat on these little rolls. So she lays down and stretches out and goes, "All right, I did not mean to be a pain when I said we had not gone on a regular date. It's just maybe sometimes dating you doesn't feel regular because you kind of came into town with a bang."
I mean, I do have that effect on you, don't I?
Yes, on me, that's true, and I'm not gonna lie and say that I really hate the idea of, you know, dating the new interesting woman in town who just apparently has made it a habit to save people and do heroic things. I kind of like that, not gonna lie. But it just means sometimes I want to slow things down a little bit, you know? And yes, not just sit in the radio room or doing whatever we normally do.
No, I get it. But I want you to know that even if we have a normal date, I'm not leaving permanently. I probably will have to go back into the wilds again.
When you say that, she like pauses and goes, "Hang on a second." She like rummages around in the basket and pulls out like a baguette and like holds it up to you like it's a microphone and goes, "Just in, a new breaking story. Apparently, Autumn is about to have to go back into the wilds. Autumn, would you care to comment on what you think you're going to have to do back out in the wilds?" And she like puts the bread in your face.
Why is Willow so cute?
All right. I don't know yet, but Mitchell's been quiet, and when he gets quiet, then he gets weird and asks me to go out. I've told you about the Wild Watchers and how they're like the weird organization.
Hang on a second. The scoops are never ending. Autumn, why is it that when things get quiet, you assume there's about to be disaster? Bread back in your face.
Don't give me that. You know something. When has things not been quiet? And then when have things been quiet for this long?
The whole time you weren't here. Do you think that you being here is why the town has suddenly become far more dangerous?
Well, I've thought about that, so I've decided to forsake Smokey Banks and go live in the untamed wilds, forsaking all civilization and comfort. If only there was someone here to convince me to stay.
Here's my attempt to convince you not to go. I'm not going to do that because I like seafood spread on freshly baked baguettes, especially when I don't have to bake the baguettes.
I can learn to break baguettes.
But, more importantly, does this mean that you just tend to chase danger wherever it goes? Bread back in your face.
It's funny because to me, I see you move the bread back, but we are an audio medium.
Yeah, right.
So I see you mimicking having a baguette. I think you said we weren't talking about work, and me talking about the wild seems like a not normal date to you. So she takes the baguette.
Maybe normal dates are boring.
She takes the baguette. Why don't you tell me about yourself, Willow Perch? What makes you tick? Why is radio so fascinating? Baguette back in your face.
When you put the bread in her face, she just takes a bite out of it and chews it, thinking contemplatively, you know? I think, if I'm being honest, the reason that I like radio so much is that I had always felt that Smokey Banks was, if we're being honest, boring. Now, I would never say that aloud in an audio broadcast, but growing up, I felt that Smokey Banks was maybe a little bit less interesting. Then all of a sudden, I start learning how to get communications from farther away. I find music from every other symbiote. I find stories from all over the place, and I get to retell them through the air. And that means I get to see a little bit further than just my little dungeon in Smokey Banks, as much as I love my little dungeon in Smokey Banks. And then the other half of this is, if I'm being totally honest, I don't want to go out in the wilds and get almost eaten by bear things. So hearing about it is kind of the next best thing.
So what you're saying is, you like dating someone who is dangerous. Bread back in the face.
She grabs it from you and goes, "Are you dangerous?" Bread in your face.
I meant chases danger.
I think the answer would be yes, either way.
But no, I understand that it seems like I'm chasing danger. It's just, I have a particular skill set, and it's hard because being physically active and strong and athletic is not very useful in a day-to-day setting. There are some things I can do, but there's only so many bags of fertilizer you can move before you start to go a little bit crazy. And with doing that kind of thing, you don't ever get out of your dungeon. And I don't want disasters to show up. And specifically, I don't want disasters to happen where, when I was a firefighter and doing that. But when stuff shows up in the wilds, it is exciting to me because I get to do something and use the skills and the things that I'm prepared for.
She, kind of hesitates with the bread and goes, Do you only feel useful when you get to run into danger? And then she, puts the bread back in your face.
Pass?
She, kind of, drops the bread on the ground or not on the ground, I guess on the blanket. You wouldn't just drop bread on the ground. Sorry. She kind of pulls you into a hug as you guys lean back on this blanket and kisses you on the top of the head and just sort of is just gently playing with your hair. And she goes, "All right, normal date. I'll stop asking questions. I do have a bad habit, but
I didn't take you for a liar, Willow." She smirks.
I promise, normal date things. I think that you have plenty of use beyond just running into danger, but I appreciate that maybe that's something that you enjoy. But I don't think you should feel like you have to as like the only way that someone would be interested in you. It's not the only thing I find interesting about you.
What else do you find interesting about me?
You know a lot of good books.
Right? Aren't they the best? Did you read that one Sheriff Mitchell gave? It was a little odd, the last one, right?
I'm gonna level with you. Sheriff Mitchell has given me a lot of books, and I have not read most of them. I'm also not trying to date Sheriff Mitchell. So, it's okay if he suggests odd books.
But it's not okay if I suggest odd books?
You know, there is a tipping point. I think what it is, there's a tipping point at some point. We haven't reached it yet. It depends. If you do something really out of left field, maybe. But right now, we're all good. Your book recommendations have been fine.
Now, Caitlin, the librarian, wants to do reader's advisory for Willow.
As you guys, like, kind of just chat about books, the, like, evening goes to stars, and, like, you're both just looking up at what are now familiar stars, and you kind of have that, you kind of get, like, lost in your head, realizing that you had seen unfamiliar stars kind of recently, and everything that might imply, and as you're, like, just sort of, like, wandering in your own mind, you feel like Willow shift, like, closer to your face, and she just kind of gently kisses you and runs her hands through your hair and goes, "Looks like you kind of got lost there for a moment. Are you okay?"
Yeah. You said no work today, so.
She kisses you again and points her finger in your face and goes, "And I meant it. No work." And you just hear a voice from behind you go, "All right, look, now this is my fault. You're supposed to be at a meeting, not you. It's an important meeting, and I couldn't find you. You'd wandered off. I asked Tetty. Tetty said you broke one of his bags, and he couldn't find you. So it took me forever. I had to ask so many people, and I can tell I'm sort of interrupting, and I'm sorry about that, but Autumn, you gotta be at a meeting."
Would you be mad if I went?
You just look over at Willow, who is just like death staring at you, and she just goes, "No, of course not."
What if I come by? Are you going to be at home or the radio station tonight?
I don't sleep I'll be at home. Be at home. And yes, you had better come by. That will make up for it. Now get out of here. Go and do important things. It's fine.
She, like, flips her hair and gives her the most winning grin.
That is not getting you out of trouble totally.
She kisses her and then goes.
As you leave, you see Willow just kind of, like, lays back and keeps looking up at the stars, just kind of, chewing on a baguette. Thanks for listening to this episode of Wanderlust. Music for this show is credited down below. If you like this campaign, you can find more of our shows at the Wandering Gamer website or on Podbean. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links in the description. Now bear in mind, in the wilds, some wander to get lost, and some wander to find themselves.